Today, from the clown car to the clown bake. A lot more coming right up. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I hope everybody's doing well on your Thursday. And yes, this is a flash stream on your Thursday. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. And we'll just start out with our structure or a little bit of our new structure here on Black Spring with Autumn, and that will be I'll start with the opening statement. I want to give a shout out to everyone in the stream, or everybody that's driving by with their windows down. I don't know, with your hair blowing in the wind. However it goes, hope you're doing well on your Thursday. Shout out to Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, The Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, Let the Truth Be Told, Cold War Jesus, and AZ Infidel. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys so much for all that you do and for tuning in. Now, I know I was a little bit bold with the actual, the imagery here lately, but, I thought, it's necessary. It's necessary. So hope you guys are doing well, and I appreciate you for taking care with those like and unlike buttons. It makes a difference here. It makes a difference every day. You guys make a difference. So thank you guys so much for all that you do. But I just had some things that I thought were a little bit pressing, or some things that I think that just had to be said. I'm not sure if you guys have been tuning in to the DNC for the last, 72 hours, maybe. Yeah. Not sure if you have been, but we're going to take a look at a few things. We're going to maybe take a little glimpse into Biden's Build Back Better plan. And we'll take a look at an arrest or two. And we're going to take a look at a little bit of a story coming from the vetted source of the TNA and on Mr. Clinton. I mean, I'm telling you, I had this opening statement hopefully it will shed some light on the premise for this stream. Hopefully it will. So hope you guys are doing well. Shout out to Patrick Jane Forums. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. And I appreciate you guys for taking care with those likes and unlikes, or thumbs up, thumbs down, throwing caution to the wind where available, and also for those who dare to make sure that you're still subscribed to the channel. I mean, I've seen a few shenanigans even with that lately. So, we stay in the fight. We're available. Also, I have provided a link for you on D Live. So if you're interested in coming over to D Live, I may do some flash streams over on D Live as well, just to check out the climate over there. But what you have to do is you have to follow. You have to go over to the community tab, and you have to follow me on D Live. So I've provided that particular link in the stream. So the link is on the community tab. So you'll get that information from there. So without further ado, let's get going here. So the opening statement here is, the opening statement here is, I'll give you some points of reference where I'm coming from, even on that. So hope you guys are doing well. But shout out to you, JT Waterman. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. And so can you imagine the abolition of prisons? Imagine police officers with their names and numbers on the backs of their uniforms. And you're thinking, how radical can you be? And why does this sound like Bill Ayers Demand the Impossible? I mean, and for why not? And for a moral gut check, You may have heard the characterization, America is a sinful nation. Now, considering much of that I've heard from liberals and progressives who, I mean, can you think of any viable acts that may be perceived as sin that they represent or that's actually a part of their platform? I mean, it's I guess it's the hypocrisy is just so thick. You need a shovel. You need a shovel at all times. And so I'm going to go on. And so even from that point, those are the kinds of ideologies that I've grown accustomed to just in over time and just by seeing what's being promoted. I mean, it's mostly it's a part of the agenda. Those are the progressives, whether you want to call it, whether you want to say the feminist, or you want to say you want to just call them progressives. The most of them support this type of these utopian values. Free this, free that. Let's make you a statue. I mean, it just sounds like straight out of the Chicago elite. I mean, I consider Chicago to be a birthplace for many of these swells or many revolutionaries. I think that they have a strong base, or they've had a strong following. They had a lot of, these BLMs and these other groups, even right now, are standing on the shoulders of the people that came before them, and they never really go away. It's just that they go underground and they kind of swell. So you've got a groundswell of all of them right now, nationwide. And when I talk about, movements, I talk about, of course, you go back to the 60s, you're talking about, what is it, the Weathermen Underground or the Women Underground or even the Black Panthers. That's where I'm getting the context historically here. So shout out to JT Waterman. How are you? Give me just 1 second here. Just 1 second. Thank you guys so much for all that you do and for your patience. Hang on just 1 quick second here. All right, guys. Sorry about that for the interruption there, but okay, I'm back. So we have quite a few stories to get into today, and it looks like, of course, the hypocrisy just keeps getting thicker and thicker because we have more unrest in these major cities, and of course, Chicago will be a part of that. Will be a part of that coverage on today's flash stream, as well as we've got an arrest or two. I mean, yikes. I mean, there's just so many things going on. Shout out to Positively Penny. Thank you so much for coming in. Let me get back to the comment here from JT. JT says a shovel is more like a bulldozer in the size of a tank that can move their stuff out of the way because they are blaming others for what they do themselves. Yes, they are. Classic. Much projection. So, but here's the other ticker that I get. And to me, it's pretty clear. I think from what I can see, that the left is so hungry for power right now they'll hold on to it any way that they can. I mean, it's just about winning. It's just about winning at this point, and it doesn't really matter what they have to do to achieve that. And whoever they doesn't matter what they have to do to hold on to what they think, because I'm beginning to think that they actually think that Black people are their base. It's like when you look at all of the things that are all these cultural things that are being brought to the forefront, it's just mostly there's so many things that are going on, but they've put Black people on the front of their revolution. And that's it's just, that's what's going on. I think what they're trying to do is even overshadowing some of the other issues. I think it's overshadowing that, you have the pandering and all. But I think honestly, when people talk about, the Black community, leaving the plantation, but it's a psychological hold, I think, that's happened. It's like, to me, when, the psychology, I'm not a psychologist, but you would imagine, like, when someone, say for instance, if you have an abusers manipulate their victims. Okay. But in this case, they've kind of downgraded the community into little pets. Oh, you little pet, you can't help yourself, we'll feed you and water you, just be a good little pet and come back home at the end of the day. I think that's generally about, but you'll always be an essential worker. You'll always be, so you're never really, what it does, it actually undermines growth or individuality. It, especially what they're doing with these curriculums and things, these ideas, these progressives out here saying, oh, these colleges, oh, we're going to do this with grammar, and we're going to lower the standards. You can't jump that high, so let me lower this standard. Let me do this. But I'm just saying that is more of a demoralizing thing. It's more of a destabilizing. You're destabilizing something that's already fractured. But then, like I said yesterday, it will be in 20 years. God, who knows where, when the democracy, the republic, where will it be in 20 years? But you'll have somebody coming up, well, we did this and we did that, especially if the left ends up back in power. They'll come out apologizing for more transgenerational, degradation and destabilization, just as they've done in the past. You can't propel the Black community forward if you're demoralizing and destabilizing a community. You are not advancing or making anyone, you're not making the community or individuals self-autonomous, and you are not making them more self-sustainable. So, they'll do whatever, these professors, these sociology departments, they'll do whatever they think they need to do to advance their careers and to advance, what the elite says that to shape this world in the image that they want, whether they're ruining people's lives or not. That's what they've been doing. I heard somebody say earlier today that, we should, conservatives should train more teachers and more, they should train more people to be more civic, give more civic, careers for conservatives. But I'm just thinking, I don't know. I'm not even sure, because, it is actually a great point, because I find that many teachers are quite liberal. I mean, I have friends that are liberal, and the teachers, uber liberal. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys so much. JT Waterman says, shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Thank you so much. Hi, Positively Penny. You're right on. JT Waterman, Stockholm is what they have for those who are keeping their minds limited. Yes, yes, yes. And yes, JT Waterman. And it's funny that you bring that out because that's been a concern. I'm thinking with all this unrest, I'm just thinking, and I'm not here to gaslight, but I'm just thinking, what are the chances? I just think that this election is going to be an entire debacle. I can see it already. I've even heard rumors of people already in Florida. I'm getting a lot of news out of Florida right now. I haven't been able to, some of the things I don't want to speak of them because I cannot confirm them, but I'd like to bring some of those stories forward. But let's go back into this whole DNC bit because they've been telling people, vote now, vote early, vote if you can in person. And, they did their whole thing and they're basically implanting the gaslight that, Trump is going to, he's going to steal the election or he's not going to accept the outcome of the election is what I'm gathering. But they've been doing that forever. They did that in 2016 because Hillary was asking these questions. I think she even asked these questions on some of the final debates, whether or not Trump was going to accept the outcome of the election. But who had the problem? Who ended up with the problem accepting the outcome of the election? Who was that? Who was having the issue ultimately? Who still never accepted the outcome of the 2016 election? I just like to know. I'm just asking. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Derek C. Williams. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you for coming in. And shout out to you, Derek C. Williams, for all that you do, all the support. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And Derek says he's in listen mode, late to the party, but greetings. He's watching live from Philadelphia. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I think there's a lot going on there, Derek, in your neck of the woods. Shout out to you. JT Waterman says, okay, schools for little kids are training kids for daycare to preschool, ready for the workforce and to train them to do as they are told and to be robots. Let's see, Positively Penny says, I've always said college educated common sense out of people and teachers liberalism. No problem, JT Waterman. I appreciate you guys for being here and taking care with the Channelytics. It's nice to, I appreciate, the Channelytics, but I think I'm probably going to scale that back a little bit, my emphasis on that. But I appreciate you guys for coming in and doing what you can. Shout out to Pammy Clyde. Thank you so much for coming in. So let me go back to the situation here. That's okay. So, and of course they want to, it's a matter of control, when an abuser manipulates their victims and of course, if you do something out of the, it's your fault. It's your fault that you are not towing the line and that you're not being a good little pet. You're not following what the rules. But then it's also, they want to alienate anybody that's a free thinker, that has their own individual thoughts or opinions. They want to do that full stop. Basically, the left says, I'm your only friend. What are you talking to those people on that side of the aisle for? What are you talking to this independent over here? Talk to us. So you got that, you've got all these levels of control and manipulation and this whole ownership. And I will be honest, I've seen people do that to each other in the Black community. When I've seen it done on the Senate floor. When I've heard like Representative Sheila Jackson Lee speak on the floor regarding anything, whether of course, because they're all about, iniquities and da 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 right now. Of course, that's their whole agenda, right? She will ask a question, and I'm paraphrasing, well, where are they placed? Where are they? if you're trying to add more diversity, where are they placed? I'm just thinking, but why do you even take that type of tone with people? You're talking about human beings. You're not talking about a pair of shoes or a hose or a weed whacker or lawnmower. Why are you inquiring about human life? Where are they placed? As if you own them. But I'm just thinking, you've been a part of the caucus for years. What did you do with your power? And it's not hard to tell. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Keith the Faith. Keith the Faith's here. Nice to see you. Let's see. I'm gonna read a couple of comments here. Derek C. Williams says, "Is 90 children have been shot since the beginning of the year? Health violation. No garbage pickup. Derek and Damaris move. Damaris. Derek and Damaris move our trash under the cover of night." Wow. Derek says, "Man walked up to an undercover cop on the block that I used to stay on and flamed him. Empty clip. Police return fire. Culprit on the run. No one is appalled at the cop that got shot." Shout out to JT Waterman. "I only see you as an American, not by your skin color." Shout out to Tita Ching TV. How are you? Thanks so much for coming in. That's what I'm saying, Derek C. Williams. All of these things, that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't care if they say it's about chickens' lives, or I don't care if they say it's all a revolutionary act. They'll put anything on the moniker. Doesn't matter what the moniker says, it's what's behind it. The narrative will be, they need you to stick to the script. Because when you stick to the script, they start associating you with fascists, anti-Semites. You heard that if you were paying attention to DNC. They were mentioning anti-Semites, fascist, racist, anybody that doesn't agree. They try to, anybody that tries to, free thinkers or free people that try to understand what they're seeing or what they're dealing with, you start getting those names. That's a part of the not quite the neutralize the opposition, but if you start obstructing things, they get real agitated. Shout out to everybody. Hi, Touchdown Sean. Thanks so much for coming in. Shout out to Yellow Rose of Texas. Hang in there, Derek C. Williams. And Yellow Rose of Texas says, "It's a deviation attack of the left. The left must bully everyone opposing their agendas." Let's see. Shout out to you guys. Thank you guys so much for coming in on this flash stream. I wasn't scheduled for today, but I just thought, sometimes that's what a flash is. It comes up. It comes from a place of some conviction. So I hope it's not too much, but here we go. We just have the psychological hold that they have on citizens, and they will continue to do it. I mean, people talk about, the new voter base. Okay, yeah, that's one, but then they're trying, if they pick up another, they'll pick up new bases or new assortments for their chocolate box anywhere. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they are. It can be disabled, elderly, the whole 9 yards. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. And, who knows? And I say this, I don't say, some people say, "Oh, well, when this is over, when the COVID-19 ends, da, 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 da." Like, yeah, I don't even say that. I say, who knows what's on the other side of this? Because we don't know. I'm not convinced that we all know what this is. I'm not. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So I'm going to keep going here, but I'm going to be honest. I watched Obama's appearance. I watched, what was it? See, you know what? They always have to import the degenerates from Hollywood. They brought in a couple of Hollywood degenerates. Then you had, it was like, it was like an MTV I'm like, "Is this what you guys call a convention?" That's why I'm talking about it was a clown bake. I'm waiting to hear a policy, just any policy, just one. Just any one, any policy. Can you please? Or instead of platitudes, stop with the platitudes. You would think they're deliberately trying to lose this thing. But when you think about it, what message have they had or what policies have they had all what what legitimate policies have they had for the last almost 4 years? How many what? Yeah, I mean, I watched it so you didn't have to. So I'm just thinking Obama's take, he's talking about how, of course, this administration's a threat to democracy. Well, it's actually the opposite. Who's actually everything that they project is what they've already done or they've been doing. And what he did in on camera was he stood there and rallied and organized. You're being your community organizer is what you're being right now. Talking about young people speaking their minds. And guess who the young people are? They're the ones that are rioting and protesting, carrying on in these streets right now too. Some people are like, what did he do for Chicago? Well, he taught them how to be radicals, I guess. He's giving them all a kudos on live TV, rallying and organizing people right in front of the camera. Identity politics. Here they go with the projection on voter suppression. Sowing division. That's what you get. I'm just thinking, then they do so many, I noticed this, that somebody else brought this up to me. And it never appeared to me. I think they usually do something to kind of enhance his oratory delivery. Like it's not quite like an echo, like when he speaks. But last night, that room was so dry that he was in. He did not have like you guys, you've lost the magic, man. You, you've lost it. And everybody that's come before you they've lost it. You don't have it anymore. Standing in front of writing the Constitution, I mean, that you should have seen some of the other examples. You had people reciting the Pledge of Allegiance with liberty and justice for all someday. Yeah, it's just I mean, it's amazing. You're right. He did. When did he talk about Biden? It's like, can Biden have a career without a beard? You got Kamala, and then you got him, and he's like, he won't go away. But you can't even talk about him when it's him when Biden's the one that's running for president. I'm just thinking this is not good. Is how Obama talked about himself and said little content about yeah, precisely, precisely. Yeah, who's running here again? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Who are we talking about? As I'm saying, they had I'll go to Kamala last. I didn't even stick with her very long because she's all law and order. I'm like, you guys can't be this out of touch with. You can't be, can you? Let me just keep going here. But you also had all these little panels. They had they had transgender panels. They had they had all these. It was just like an assortment of. It was like a fair that I couldn't watch. You go from one, like I said, I talked about it the night before, the cohesion there. Like, what exactly is your message? What is your policy? What are you doing? let's go to we have a bit of an arrest that I want to get into. And I don't know if it's the swamp thing, but we'll see. Shout out to everybody in the stream. It looks like we got some reindeer games going on, so I'll adjust as necessary. I appreciate you guys so much for coming on. Thank you so much. Shout out to Chrysler Imperial H. Really? Yeah, it was way weak, Chrysler Imperial. It was way weak. He said Mr. was going for a third term. Yeah, it's hard to watch, you know. I'm going to tell you something really. I guess the debates will be the most, I think they're going to be entertaining. That's what I'm pretty sure. They're going to be entertaining, and that's about the most substance you're going to get. You know, that's the most you're going to get. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Yeah, and then the climate change is back. You know, I told you about that. An uninhabitable planet. So that's a part of their agenda as well. That HR 9, HR 5, and the Green New Deal. I don't even really need to see a plan or a policy from them. I really don't, because I already know what it's based on. It's more based on about the UN agenda. That's what it's based on. All of their goals. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Yeah, they had the tons of gaslighting. They had this artist that got up there. It's like, she gets on and talks about basically about how horrible the Trump administration is, and then she starts a serenade. It's a club singer. I'm like, my gosh, is this what we're doing? I'm just thinking, okay, maybe you'll bring something to the table, something that might stick, but it's the same. It's hard to believe that it's been almost 4 years. It's hard to believe. So, and then of course you had other people chiming in, the Klobuchars, Klobuchar, you had, what's her name? Pocahontas. You had all these people popping back up. She was on with some Native American panel. I'm like, oh my gosh, really? This is why nobody can take these people seriously. So I'm just thinking, like I say, it was hard to follow. Because they're rewriting history. And that's why I've told you guys, it's going to be interesting to hear what the history books will say about this time. And I understand exactly what that means now, because when people are rewriting history in the middle of history, you're right. Nobody knows what it's actually going to read. It's just going to be in the taxes. Oh my gosh. With that said, let's just have a quick look here before I get into, because we're going to go over to Chicago in just a second. I'm going to hop around here just a bit. Oh gosh, even the other thing was they even had like an interpreter during these performances, and it just looks so bizarre. I've never known an interpreter for them to put an interpreter next to a performance. I've never known that. Something for everybody, right? Shout out to everybody in the stream. Let's just have a look. This is the Build Back Better, and even it doesn't appear to be complete. So what you see before you, it comes from JoeBiden.com, Build Back Better, which to me translates into Green New Deal. Battle for the soul of the nation. Battle, soul, nation. There you go. All right, so what you see before you right now, like to say, shout out everybody in the stream. Thank you so much for coming in. So this is my first time on this. Thought I'd, go into it with you guys. So there, of course, you can do your donations. Do they need any more donations right now? Build Back Better, Joe Biden's jobs and economic recovery plan for working families. Joe Biden believes to his core that there's no greater economic engine in the world than the hard work and ingenuity of the American people. Nobody has more respect for the working women and men who get up every day to build and sustain this country, or more confidence that they can meet the challenges we face. So, you don't have to get very far in before you see that 5-letter word, TRUMP, the Trump administration. All right, before the Trump administration was pursuing economic policies that would reward the wealthy over work and corporations over working families. Too many families were struggling to make ends meet, and too many parents were worried about the economic future for their children. And Black, you got to drop that. You got to drop the Black facts in first. You got to, whether it's fact or not. And Latino Americans, Native Americans, immigrants, and women have never been welcomed as full participants in this economy. That's hard to read. They've never been welcomed. I think that's a little thick. So let's see. I'm just waiting for some policy that spells like, where's your foreign policies? Where's your economic policy? Instead of these platitudes and all this propaganda and all this rhetoric. Did anybody out there watch this? I'm just wondering, what did you guys get the same thing? Am I missing something here? Is this scrambled eggs? So, JT Waterman says, chest waiters, please. Buying stuff is getting deep. Don't even bother to tiptoe through the two. Yeah. So then of course they go on to talk about it's time to build back things, to build back to the way things were before. The old economy, structural weaknesses and inequality still in place. So I'm going to move through this really quickly because I want to get through some other things because I don't see a lot here. It's just going to talk about, in this time of crisis, he has a plan to create millions of good paying jobs and to give America's working families the tools, choices, and freedom they need to build back better. You see what, look at the key word here is to give tools, choices, and freedom. He can't give you any freedom, right? He can't. It's not possible. The government is basically what that means. Socialism. There's the giver. That's your giver. And the government is basically on the road to bankruptcy if it's not bankrupt already. If you guys haven't checked the deficit. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Let's see. Yellow Rose of Texas says, if you want to see who's undermining the American people, go to the government gov pages and read the hoopla, the Heroes Act. Yeah. They want bailouts. They want breaks for the wealthy like themselves. Yes, of course. Yes, they perverted the stimulus, the first or the second stimulus. I don't know. That was so much garbage in that the people that they claimed they were taking money for, they didn't even get the money. They ended up releasing those people. And I'm not sure what happened, what the outcome was. I know that they had a contract. Now, this was the Kennedy Center. All that money was like $25 million that went into that last stimulus. And they released those musicians and the conductor after it was signed. Where did that $25 million go? I'm telling you guys. Shout out to everybody in the stream. JT Waterman, him and Obama ruined it, and Biden with Harris will keep ruining things. Obama and Biden took jobs by regulation, sent jobs to CCP. So let's finish up this Build Back Better, and we'll go into some of these other stories. We'll go to Chicago first, and then we'll look at something else. So yeah, so that's what I'm saying. There's not Biden. I mean, did I say Biden? Biden can't give you. Biden was in Congress for decades. So all of a sudden he can do so much more if he's, I mean, honestly, it's not even fair what they're doing to that man. It's pretty much borderline elderly abuse. And who knows? All right, that starts with a real strategy to deal with a pandemic. You can't solve the job crisis until you solve the public health crisis. Trump may have forgotten about COVID, but COVID hasn't forgotten about us. So he talks about this citing March 12th, April 27th, and June 11th. Biden laid out a comprehensive strategy to get the pandemic under control and effectively reopen the economy. An approach that will both protect the health and safety. He will start implementing that plan on day one. So do you guys see that? You know, he also said that you were going to be wearing a mask for 3 months. You were going to be required to wear a mask for 3 months as well. So there you go with that. So here, I guess this is their idea of a plan. Provide state, local, tribal governments with the aid they need so educators, firefighters, and other essential workers aren't being laid off. Extend the crisis unemployment insurance to help those. Provide a comeback package for Main Street businesses and Well, see, the thing about it is, how can they convince anybody that they would do that when they're already not doing anything? They didn't do anything with what they've had, or what they keep putting all these projects into these stimulus bills. They're not, I mean, they're at a stalemate right now because they want to take the money and, I guess, give it to the special interest and then line their pockets. You know, it's nothing new under the sun. So I think that's mobilize American manufacturing and innovation. See, and then they're talking about mobilize American ingenuity to build a modern infrastructure and equitable clean energy future. See, this is Green New Deal stuff. Those windmills, and not windmills, those they're not windmills. It's another type of energy they want to use. Mobilize across the board to advance racial equality. How do you do that? So you guys can read this on your own time, but I just thought, let's just see what this is. You know, it's a class warfare is generally what they're doing. Yeah, I've seen this. We've seen all of this before. Basically, you know, the retrofitting and that $93 trillion Green New Deal. It's basically going to be a tax. I mean, I didn't see his. He didn't say. He didn't say what his tax. I don't see the tax percentage here, but I do see that he talks about a decent wage of at least $15 per hour, which we all know what minimum wage does. Just like who do you guys learn economics from? Seriously. I think Dr. Thomas Sowell has the best book on economics. And I think he does that whole book without any graphs and he does without a whole lot of infographics. I just think it's just really just down to earth common sense. So spin has pretty much been their economic plan, which will bring a flat economy. So I'm going to move on, guys. That was a little bit much, a little bit heavy. The Green New Deal. Shout out to Yellow Rose of Texas. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you over to a story where we have I'm going to take you over to a story that involves Lori Lightfoot and the Chicago PD. Looks like she's back in the news. Yeah, $15. What's that going to look like with inflation? $15 won't be anything. So we'll go over to this next story. It's going to come from the Chicago Tribune. Hope you guys are doing well. So what it looks like, so this is going back into, all these peaceful protests now, bringing the cops out, right? So Fort Lori, Chicago police ban protects on Mayor Lori Lightfoot's block, orders arrest for anyone who won't leave. So is she really doing that right now? Shout out to everybody. See, like that's her Gestapo, right? You're always projecting on Trump. So we'll give you a little, that's your Gestapo, Lori Lightfoot. So I don't know what she's referring to them as at this point. It's just like they're all falling on their own swords with this garbage. The denial. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys so much for coming in. Let's see. All right. So from this particular story, we have, I'm just going to share this one with you real quick, and then we'll go on to our current arrest. I don't know if this is draining the swamp. Is that what we're doing? We'll get to that in just a second, guys. Thanks so much for coming in. All right. So apparently before you, this is coming from the Chicago Tribune. Chicago Police Department has effectively banned protesters from demonstrating on Mayor Lori Lightfoot's block in the Logan Square neighborhood, ordering officers to arrest anyone who refuses to leave, the Tribune has learned. The directive surfaced in a July email from then Shakespeare District Commander Melvin Roman to officers under his command. It did not distinguish peaceful protesters Lightfoot regularly says she supports and those who might intend to be destructive, but ordered that after a warning is given to demonstrators, it should be locked down, end quote. Since the order, even for a time just prior to its writing, Chicago cops have repeatedly blocked protesters' access to the block with groups of officers and barricades. The police have often kept protesters contained at the nearby corner of Kimball and Wrightwood Avenues. Though one standoff between activists and officers last month saw police go as far as bringing in an armored vehicle in case things got out of hand. Some neighbors in the Logan Square area have complained about the city's approach to protest around Lori Lightfoot's house, which at times has included checking residents' IDs before letting them close. Ron Kamenecki, a 69-year-old patent attorney and bike shop owner who lives on Bernard Street, a few houses from Lightfoot, said some neighbors have been frustrated by the police presence and barricades. Quote, I came up with the name Fort Lori because it's so hard to get in and out, Kamenecki said. As recently as Friday, dozens of protesters were turned away from the block after trying to march to the mayor's house in support of local school councils voting Chicago police off their campuses. Barricades can be seen set aside for quick deployment, even on days without demonstrations. In response to questions from the Tribune, police said that state law and Chicago's municipal code prohibits protest in residential areas. Now, do you guys see a commonality here? Why is it that every time this matriarchal governance that we have in this country with these female leaders, why is it that they don't do anything with order until it comes to their doorstep? I mean, literally. Of course, you heard about what Carmen Vest resigning, but, she didn't have any empathy about people, ascending on or descending on anything or violations that were violent until it came to her house. And the citizens were even trying to protect her. But when it was her turn to protect them, what did she do? But she's resigned. But she had people, what was it, Mr. Anderson's son? They had nothing for that man and loss of his son. Nothing. Trump ended up calling that man, Mr. Anderson, that is. And the same thing that happened was at Jenny Durkin. She didn't have a problem until her house gets vandalized. I mean, do you guys see the common denominator here? They're not going to do anything until they come into the suburbs. This is the most wicked governance. It's horrible. Shout out to everybody in the stream, the rapper. Shout out to you, the rapper. Thank you so much for coming in. I see I have a comment here. Beetlejuice is all for UN for UN, but since she likes the protesters so much, BLM need to go visit her. She'll change her mind fast. I just don't know how these people are not still, how they're still, in these positions. I just don't. I guess they're not going to, like I said, it's clear that they're not going to do anything. I will say right now, the strongest female representation in terms of the matriarchal governance is Governor Noem, Kristi Noem in South Dakota. I think she's firm, but she's using logic, and she's upholding her oath of office. But, Lori Lightfoot's made a lot of statements that shows you where her allegiance is, and it is not to her constituents, and it's not to the current America. It's not. So I'm not surprised. So shout out to everybody in the stream. So yeah, I think I had a little bit of footage on that. Yeah, but I just wanted to give you a little bit on, that's, to me, it's a follow. All of these stories are developing because they're not, they draw everything out. Instead of resolving the problems when they come up, they want to turn into socio-emotional directors and call the social workers in to come out and talk to these people. And defund the police and send the social workers out to deal with, it's just, is that what utopia is? It's a losing situation for the citizens in these cities. It really is, and for the business. But but you also see these mass exodus from what, New York? New York's in a tough spot right now. New York's in a tough spot. California's in a tough spot. I would imagine that Seattle and Portland. And see, they all talk the Democrats talk about, oh, well, they need, the protesters, and we're all unified. And I'm like, they're out here burning down cities, yet they're saying that Trump is the reason that the democracy is at risk. And then, Kamala's statement, oh, I know a predator when I see one. And then there was something ridiculous, something to the effect of, well, there's no vaccine for racism. I tell you, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Shout out to everybody in this stream. But it's like the silence is deafening. When you look at the people that are just kind of okay, they just go right along with it. They're just, they're fine. They're fine with what's going on. So let's just have a little break here. This is an interesting story, and it's developing as well. I'd like to shout everybody out. Thank you so much for coming in. to this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. I'm going to take you out of Chicago for just a second here. Take you out of Chicago and take you to a current arrest. And I am not sure. I'd love to hear the details on it, but I'm sure it's going to be a few minutes before it comes out, just a bit before it comes out. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you. I don't know if you guys are on this one or not, but let me bring it to you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is going to come from Fox Business that we use. Fox Business is pretty, I think sometimes they have the better, they have the least moving to the progressive whatever direction than even Fox. This is, I guess, is their subsidiary or whatever. But we'll take it from Fox Business on this one. So thank you guys so much for tuning in.
The breaking news is this. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has been arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud in relation to support of the building the border wall. So he's charged with fraud in connection with fundraising. Okay, that's what we've got to report for you as of right now.
All right, did you guys get that? So yes, that is the arrest of Steve Bannon right now. So yikes. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm wondering if there's going to be like, I guess, just a strand of just random arrests right now. I can't really. It's hard to call it. So I don't, like I said, maybe this is a part of the swamp deal. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you so much for coming in. So we'll move on to the next. So let's see. I'm bringing you guys into a lot of debauchery. All right. So we dealt with Bannon's arrest. So right now I'm going to take you to another story. Right now. And it's going to come from our friends over at the JBS. Okay, appreciate you guys so much. We'll have a word from our friends. See, I'll read this comment really quickly here. And he says that they are saying that Steve and others took money to pay for their lifestyle. Thank you so much, JT Waterman, for sharing that. So I'm going to take you over to another story. Thank you guys for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. Give me just 1 second. We're going to go over to another story from our friends at the JBS. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this segment of Black Spring with Autumn. And we're going to go over to our story from the JBS. Thank you guys so much for all that you do and for tuning in on this segment. Now we're going to go over to our story, and we've got a little bit of a confirmation on something. What you see before you comes from the TNA, that's the New American, and this comes from Wednesday, August 19th. Now this photo shows Epstein victim giving Bill Clinton a massage. Clinton again denies knowledge of sex perverts crimes. All right, so here what you have is photo of Bill Clinton and one of deceased sex pervert Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking victims surfaced yesterday and put the lie to the 42nd president's claim that he's clueless about Epstein's crimes. The photos published in the Daily Mail show Epstein's victim, Shantae Davies, giving Clinton a massage at an airport. Also on the trip was Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's one-time girlfriend, who encouraged the young girl to give Clinton what he needed. Federal agents collared Maxwell at a secluded estate in New Hampshire last month and indicted her on charges of recruiting and trafficking girls of Epstein. Davies, Clinton, and Maxwell were flying to Africa on a, quote, humanitarian, end quote, mission. The photos of Clinton with Epstein's young masseuse surfaced just hours before he was to speak at the DNC, at which party faithful formally nominated Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as their candidates for president and vice president. Quote, complete gentleman, end quote. Clinton's liaison with the masseuse occurred in 2002 when he and his pal were on the way to the dark continent and stopped in Portugal to refuel. At the airport, Clinton claimed of a sore neck. Serendipitously, Davis, a masseuse therapist, and Epstein's, quote, personal masseuse, end quote, the Mail reported, just happened to be on hand. Quote, Davies acted as an air stewardess on the flight and described being shocked when Clinton boarded the plane, saying he was charming and sweet, end quote, the Mail reported. That's what Monica Lewinsky thought. But anyway, Davies obliged when asked to give Clinton some help. Davies, now in her early 40s, said of the massager's pictures, quote, although the image looks bizarre, that the president was a perfect gentleman during the trip, and I saw absolutely no foul play involving him, end quote. She explained the massage happened when, quote, we had a stopover for the jet to refuel while we were in the terminal. The ex-president was complaining of stiffness from falling asleep in his chair. Quote, Ghislaine chimed in to be funny and said I could give him a massage. Quote, everyone had a little chuckle, but Ghislaine in her prim British accent insisted and said, I was good. The president then asked me, would you mind giving it a crack? Quote, he turned his back to me and I reached up and I started to rub out the kink in our former president's neck and shoulder, end quote. Davies delivered an inadvertently hilarious joke at Clinton's expense. Quote, I've got a bad angle. Would you mind getting on your knees, end quote. Are you guys still here? I'm sorry. It's a bit much. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. I will finish that one. Let's talk about awkward times. Shout out to everybody in the stream. So what you see, we're still in that article. It's a bit thick, but there's your account there. So the massage is going on. Clinton gave her a better, quote, angle, end quote, she said, but did not try to slip her the patented Clinton cigar. He was, quote, a perfect gentleman during the trip, and I saw absolutely no foul play involving him. Also in the group were actors Kevin Spacey and Chris Tucker, the Mail reported, and Clinton is pictured with Maxwell boarding the jet. As for Davies and Epstein, she claims the Wall Street financier raped her multiple times after Maxwell recruited her the way she recruited the sex fiend's other victims. So it goes on, it talks about what Clinton knew. Of course, Clinton, quote, knows nothing about Epstein's sex trafficking operation, despite the close friendship. And he also claims that he flew on the Lolita just 4 times, despite logs that show more than 24 flights. As well, a recent book reported that Clinton had an affair with Maxwell, who spent oodles of time oodles of time with the former president and attended his daughter's bazillion-dollar nuptials in 2010. Of course, Clinton denied that affair, just as he's denied, quote, sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky, end quote. Even worse for Clinton are court documents from Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre. I'm not sure if that's pronounced Giuffre. Lawsuit against Maxwell. They say Clinton was indeed a guest at the Sex Offenders Caribbean Orgy Isle, Little St. James, during a teleconference with her attorneys. Giuffre said she remembers that Epstein told her Clinton owed him favors, and that's why the former president was on the island. So I might even put this link in for you guys. But, quote, when you were present with Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton on the island, who else was there, end quote, attorney Jack Scarola replied Giuffre, quote, Ghislaine, Emmy, and me, and there were 2 young girls that I could identify. I never really knew them well anyways. It was just 2 girls from New York, end quote. Scarola, and were all of you staying at Jeffrey's house on the island, including Bill Clinton? Giuffre, that's correct. He had about 4 or 5 different villas on his island, separate from the main house, and we all stayed in the villas. Scarola, were sexual a regular occurrence on the island at Jeffrey's house? Giuffre answered yes. So for the final installment here, as awkward as it is, what did Clinton know? Clinton's flights on the Lolita, his visits to the island, his affair with Maxwell, and now the photos of Clinton and Epstein's young masseuse raise the obvious, if trite, questions. What didn't he know, and when did he know it? Is it possible that Clinton, like Prince Andrew, another Epstein's ruling class friends, and frequent flyer on the Lolita, was clueless about Epstein's sex trafficking operation, given the pair's close relationship? And if, as Clinton says, a Secret Service agents accompanied him on the trips, what does the Secret Service know about Epstein's activities? So, if that's not enough for your shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys. That was a bit much. Thank you so much for your patience and for your strong stomach here on Black Spring with Autumn. So, yeah, I tell you, and that's what, when they get on their moral high horse, it's more than hypocrisy. It's almost unbearable. See that, JT Waterman, that's been my concern the whole time, and I'm thinking even if the unrest continues in the manner that it has been, what jurisdiction do they even have to even show up, to show up here and start, bring in the blue hats, if you will. I mean, I just think this is just the beginning. There's just so much uncertainty. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. I appreciate it. So I might just bring you one other clip and then we're going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you guys coming in for this stream. So yeah, of course, we have a takeaway from most of this stream that, they are basically, the left is going to promise the American people everything: safety, security, Big Brother's coming to the rescue. And what will you have then? What will you have? It's kind of like, you had I think Castro promised a lot of things. And he also promised that he wasn't a communist either. Make up your mind, whichever one. Socialism is not that far from communism. In fact, I think they're going full on communism. They're not even stopping collecting $200. They're going straight to communism. All in the name of mitigating iniquities, wealth redistributions, transfer of the power. Shout out to everybody in the stream. He says no, if they win, it will be here. We go past, right? Yeah, because that's why they keep talking about HR 9. You know, they talked. I've heard Biden say specifically on the very few press conferences or speeches that he gives, he's talked about get back into the Paris Climate Agreement. And I think even during one of the summits, I think even Pelosi went over, I think was over to Spain earlier this year. Says, oh, we're still in it, or we're still in it. You know, this whole impeachment thing's going on. And, you know, the UN, you know, the entire globalists, they are not happy with the US. They are not. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Let's see. The rapper says we need the military in these Democrat cities. I heard about the Netflix Cuties trailer that is promoted. No way. No. Rapper. I have not. I will certainly take a look at it. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, because that's just a tax, you know, like no more, you know, the thing about Trump, he's saying, no, you're not going to subsidize the whole world off the taxpayers' backs. That's my interpretation of it. And that's all they've been doing, pretending that they're giving to doing foreign aid and all of these projects and all the money that they've given, it just ends up boomeranging back to them. I mean, who gave them permission to do that? But that's why I'm talking about these foreign entanglements that they have, all these globalists. That's what I get. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Let's see, what do we have? I think I'm missing something here. Hope you guys are doing well. Thank you guys so much for coming in on this Thursday. This time is going by very quickly. So we'll probably wrap up here in the next 10 minutes or so. I appreciate you guys for all that you do. So I'm going to bring you just a little bit of coverage. We'll round out with a little bit of DNC. If you can stand it, if you can handle it. Thank you guys so much. Try to end on a, not a low note, but not exactly a low note. But I mean, honestly, this whole assortment of this assortment was something else. I want to bring you to some of the. All right. So, and then the thing about it is, Hillary Clinton is she is absolutely brazen. Okay. So to bring you yours truly. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Yeah, I came out of Netflix as soon as I heard that the Holio and that they were into it. Look at the content of it. It's pretty Luciferian. Like, didn't they even have a show called Lucifer? It's pretty dark. I had to come out of it. So shout out to everybody in the stream. So I'm gonna take you right now. Just try to give you the best of this clown show, clown bake. This is actually kind of a hit back. I'm not. All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Campaign and to get more information on how to vote and how to volunteer. Joe Biden has a plan to help working families and small businesses. Our next speaker, Hilda Solis, worked alongside him as Secretary of Labor.
natural disaster, that would have been a good thing for America and the world. I wish Donald Trump knew how to be a president, because America needs a president right now. Throughout this time of crisis, Americans keep going, checking on neighbors, showing up to jobs as first responders, hospitals, grocery stores, nursing homes. Yes, it still takes a village. And we need leaders equal to this moment of sacrifice and service. We need Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Everyone has a story about Joe's caring and empathy. I remember him calling after my mother, Dorothy, died, and we talked about being raised by strong women. The best testament to Joe is how he's cared for his family. And how great is it that Dr. Jill Biden plans to keep teaching as First Lady. And Joe picked the right partner in Kamala. She's relentless in the pursuit of justice and equity, and she's kind. When her press secretary, Tyrone Gale, was dying of cancer, she dropped everything to be with him in his final moments. I know something about the slings and arrows she'll face, and believe me, this former district attorney and attorney general can handle them all.
See there, ladies and gentlemen, this is, I think the word came out that she managed to she's not doing an appearance. She's not going to be appearing in court next month. So September the 9th is out. So I'm not sure if anything's going to happen with any of these. I'm honestly, I'm running out of, it's getting rough. It's getting rough. Shout out to everybody that's still in the stream. And that's not exactly a high note. I'll get you one other thing and then we'll move on. We'll get out of here. We'll pack it in and pack it up. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Do what Americans have done for over 2 centuries when faced with even tougher times than this. All those quiet heroes who found the courage to keep marching, keep pushing in the face of hardship and injustice. Last month, we lost a giant of American democracy in John Lewis. And some years ago, I sat down with John and a few remaining leaders of the early civil rights movement. One of them told me he never imagined he'd walk into the White House and see a president who looked like his grandson.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the theme of the takeaway from the evening. It's more identity politics for you. So I think it's safe to end on that. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Hope you guys are doing well and that you are off to a great Thursday. I appreciate you guys for coming in and entertaining all of the appearances from the clown car. And so I think next week is the week of the Republican convention. Not sure what the theme is on that, but I think I'm hoping it's going to be looking better than this. Just saying. Just saying. So we've got 99 problems, but this is a bit much. Shout out to everybody in the stream. And also, please keep an eye on your community tabs as we go into a few things. And actually, what I said I was going to give you, we were going to round out. But let me just give you just a little bit of Kamala Harris here for those of you that have not Not much, just a little bit. It won't be too bad. Just a little bit. It's hard to watch this stuff. But I have it right here for you.
Family is my best friend, my nieces, and my godchildren. Family is my uncles, my aunts, and my chitties. Family is Mrs. Shelton, my second mother who lived 2 doors down and helped raise me. Family is my beloved Alpha Kappa Alpha, our Divine Nine, and my HBCU brothers and sisters. Family is the friends I turn to when my mother, the most important person in my life, passed away from cancer. And even as she taught us to keep our family at the center of our world, she also pushed us to see a world beyond ourselves. She taught us to be conscious and compassionate about the struggles of all people, to believe public service is a noble cause and the fight for justice is a shared responsibility. That led me to become a lawyer, a district attorney, attorney general, and a United States senator. And at every
Shout out to everybody in this channel. I'm just gonna stop there because you already see the pander. She's already, thrown her pander spurs into the streets. She starts out talking about HBCUs, her sorority, and who does that score points with? It's not scoring points with the American people. And yeah, it's certainly not scoring any points there. So I would think it would be a bit of a conflict of interest in many ways that she, we'll save that for another show. But yeah, but there you go. She's already throwing out the name dropping, affiliation dropping. So hope everybody's doing well and that you have a great rest of your Tuesday. Shout out to the loyal patrons and you, the subscribers. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams, Killer Whale Channels, Definition of Anarchy, Chrysler Imperial H, Little Miss Goth, Cold War Jesus, AZ Infidel, to Let the Truth Be Told. I thank you guys so much for tuning in on your Thursday. And you guys have a great rest of the day.